Our Story Productions presents Martin County on TV, spotlighting the organizations, businesses, and citizens who are making a difference in our community today. And with interviews and stories done by local television shows over the last 25 years, here you're sure to learn more about the county we call home. Get ready, for this is Martin County on TV.
Hello, I'm Lenny Tvedten. Today we're going to take a look at local history and the Martin County Historical Society series called Out of the Past. Today I'd like to welcome Bob Gunther, who's going to tell us a little bit of historical information about Gunther's Food Store. So first of all, Bob, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Was in the Navy for 4 years.
Okay.
I have a wife named Nancy. She was Nancy Lund. Daughter named Elizabeth. She lives in California.
Okay.
I was in the state legislature for 25 and a half years, which I believe sets a record for this district.
Long time.
And
you enjoyed every minute of it, right?
the last few years a little tougher than the first few years. But I enjoyed it. I thought I contributed a lot. Passed some good laws.
Good.
Defeated some bad laws. All depends how you look at it.
Well, I'd like to talk a little bit about Gunther's grocery store. I remember it like it was there yesterday, but I know it wasn't. As I look back at some of the records we have at the museum, it was called originally, correct me if I'm wrong, OP Skaggs?
That's right. It was OP Skaggs was a group of stores that my Uncle Charles Van Eaton from Sioux City, Iowa started. And he would find the very best capable manager, pay him austere salary. The stockman got paid as much as he did. But when the store was paid for, he got half. And
so there was a carrot out there then.
There was a big carrot. And the store was paid for in 3.5 years. My dad was at the store, opened the store up at 6 o'clock in the morning and closed it probably at 9 at night back then.
And your dad was Herb Gunther.
Herb.
And what year was that?
1946 the store opened.
1946, okay.
And it was 1/4 of the size it was when it ended. And we had the first shopping center in Fairmont was a tower shopping center. It had a locker plant, it had a bakery, it had a barber, and some other business that was there. And and across the way it had they had a drugstore and Myers Cafe and Buzz Ladd had a war surplus store. Pat Moore had a war surplus store. Buzz Ladd had a store that sold anything.
Well, I read some things about Herb, your dad, and one thing I saw that really stuck out to me was that it was said he never let anyone leave hungry.
That's right. That's one of the things that he taught Alice. If you only can afford to give them a loaf of bread and a jar of peanut butter, you make sure they have something. And he's always had that in mind. And we followed up with that.
How did Gunther's evolve then? How would you describe the evolution from 1946, OP Skaggs, IGA, Gunther's, and so on?
When Charles Van Eaton came to Fairmont, offered to buy my dad out and told him to go back to Sioux City. My dad didn't want to go, but what my Uncle Van Eaton didn't know is my dad bought the building. So after my dad gave him a counteroffer, he said, "I won't accept that. I got more money than you do. You might as well give up." And my dad says, "Well, you take my last offer and move your store out of my building." That kind of made him sit back and think a little bit. And Dad ended up with that. He went to Martin County Bank and borrowed money to pay Van Eaton off, and it was kind of interesting way of doing things.
I also saw that there were, and this was maybe in the early years, some fruit stands that were out front. What's the disposition of those, or what can you tell us about those?
The guy that built the building to begin with is a guy named Byers, and he had a fruit stand there, and he sold fruit in front of it like we did later. And that's one of the things that we were known for. My dad knew a lot of brokers, being in the produce business in Sioux City, what he did is, a broker would call him, Herb, I got this load of watermelon that Super Value turned down because they ordered too many. He says, this is the price I'll sell them to you for. I'll sell them to you $1.50 a pound. And Dad sold them for $3. And that was one of my first jobs, is plugging and selling watermelon to people that wanted one.
Manning the fruit stand, huh?
And he sold, but in those pictures that I gave you,
Yep.
and one of them really says my dad's philosophy in life. He says, see, many of the same people I did when we first opened, and this was in another grand opening when we remodeled the store.
Sure, yeah, I saw those pictures. Good pictures.
He says, I sure like people. And that's the way he really did. He really, really did enjoy people.
All right, over the course of the time the Gunthers was in business, a number of your family members worked there as well. I mean, it wasn't just your dad or just you.
Every one of us. My first job when I was 5 years old was sorting pop bottles and talking to my brother John. That was his first job too. And I never forget Myers Bottling Company right up the corner here. Had a special on pop, 99 cents a 24-pack case.
Oh boy.
And every one of those bottles was coming. I went in Saturday to see how many bottles I had to sort. It was like a mountain. And I worked and worked all day Sunday and finally got them done. But it was really something.
So how many brothers did you have?
I have 4 brothers.
4 brothers. So 5 of you. No sisters?
No sisters.
Okay, so 5 of you worked there pretty much the whole time.
The whole time.
Okay. Then you also acquired the Gilbert Hotel.
Yep, we did.
And what can you tell us about the Gilbert? I know there was a restaurant there called Daddy's Money. We used to go there quite a bit because they, as I recall, had really good food.
They had good food. It was a good restaurant. My mom ran it at first. I ran the hotel to begin with.
Oh, okay.
And I remember I painted every room. We got an automatic paint sprayer, and I would spray Pam on the windows so we wouldn't have to scrape the paint off. And then we would go and paint everything all at once. Everything's one color. And put bags over lights and stuff like that. It was really bought so we'd have the room to expand the store again.
Oh, I was going to ask you that question.
We expanded the store. The space between the hotel and the store was about a yard.
Did the Gilbert last then as long as, or did it close when you closed the store, or did you get rid of that earlier or sooner?
We sold the Gilbert, the whole property at once.
Okay, the whole thing went once.
The whole Tower Shopping Center plus the Gilbert Hotel was sold so we could make room for Quick Trip. Taking all the furniture out of there and loading it up in dumpsters and stuff. Selling, we had rummage sales, and people would come buy a little wooden rack that we use for luggage racks in the rooms, just so they can say they got something from the Gilbert.
From the Gilbert. Then there was the Tiger Warehouse.
That was something that Billy and I thought up, and he wanted to run it, so he ran it, and I ran the store, and he had the innovation of selling Oshkosh Burgosh clothes there, and we would sell everything at warehouse cost plus 10%.
Was the Gunther grocery stores, were they in any other community, or was it just Fairmont?
Yeah, first we bought one in Elmore, and then Wells, Minnesota, and then Britt, Iowa.
Oh, okay.
So we had, each time we bought one, we thought a brother would go there, and they all wanted to stay home in Fairmont.
So were they named Gunthers then as well?
Gunther, yep.
Okay, all right.
The one in Elmore did 2.5 times more business than it should have by the population area.
Really? What do you think? What do you attribute that to?
They got the same grocery ad that they did in Fairmont, and Jubas didn't want to compete with that.
Okay. You must have had a lot of kids that worked in your stores.
Thousands. And that's the biggest sense of pride I have, is to see what they've become. I know I got 3 or 4 doctors that I know of. One guy now owns 3,500 acres of land. Retailers, your nephew was one of them.
Yeah.
He went to Rapid City and ran a store.
Right.
And I look at all those people that work there, and they I like to think they all learned something in their first job.
Sure.
And I was very happy to have them there, and a lot of them came up to the legislature to visit me.
Well, good experience for the kids to have a job like that.
It was.
And I'm sure you got a lot of pride in that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask you, too, about this ration. Sugar, is it sugar ration?
Sugar ration.
Yeah, it's just kind of a unique check that you gave me a copy of, and you say a little bit about it.
You know, in Sioux City, Iowa, there was a Palmer Candy Company that made Bing candy bars, amongst other things. And they were friends of my dad's, and they were rationing sugar, and they said, Herb will give you all the sugar you need for 3 weeks. And Dad sold people sugar like they hadn't bought sugar before for a long time. And he made a lot of friends and did a lot of business because of that. Everybody else had to sell 3 pounds with a ration certificate.
You could say it's kind of a sweet deal then, huh?
It was a sweet deal for us.
It's probably been about 10 years or approximately that since Gunther's closed, or since Quick Trip came in. Did you and your family plan to kind of retire the store at that time, or was it something that came up and you decided, hey, let's just do this now?
We did that. You know, I was the first one to leave, and a couple others wanted to leave, and finally we all decided it was time to sell the store out. So after 3 or 4 sales, they got down to some of the spices, 10% of the cost, you can have it. And it was a sad but good experience. And then we had all these fixtures left over, and we'd haul them out in the parking lot and put them up for sale. And we gave the 4-H kids at the fair stand, we gave them a bunch of coolers, so they could keep all their stuff for the fair.
Well, it's one thing that I think a lot of us that have lived here for a number of years remember, really fondly remember it, and it's just kind of a part of the landscape that we can see looking back into the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and before. It was a good store, a good experience in going there. So what, from your perspective, what is the most appreciative thing that you have for having been in the grocery business for those years? What sticks out in your mind?
Well, you know, I wrote a grocery ad every week.
Mm-hmm.
We spent $110,000 a year with the Fairmont Sentinel, and I don't know how much with KSUM. But you know, having your name in the paper every week and every day on the radio sure made it easier to run for elected office.
Oh, I suppose.
But it was really something to recognize how much your dad and the way he acted towards people and what he did and how kind he was. It was really a big help.
Paid dividends.
Yeah. I remember Christmas time more than any other time. He would know who needed help, and he would sometimes go just pull their cash register tape and say, I'll take care of this one. Thank you. Have a Merry Christmas. But one year I'll never forget, they were the Churchill brothers that lived in one of those little shacks by the canning factory.
Oh, sure. Yep.
And Byron Churchill was in my grade, and he would go walk by my house, and we'd have cap guns in the lawn laying on the grass, and he thought they were real guns, and he was afraid of them. I was laying in bed wondering what kind of Christmas they were going to have. And Tom says, well, let's go talk to Dad. We went down to Dad. Dad said, if you each give them one of your presents, I will make their Christmas for them. And we did. Don't think Tom appreciated that too much. But anyway, it was...
Can't make everybody happy.
No, isn't that... You know, I wanted to make him happy.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was... he went to the store. We had a Nash, upside-down bathtub Nash.
Nash Rambler or Brambler or whatever they were.
Nah, it wasn't a Rambler, I don't think. But anyway, he started out putting a 100-pound bag of potatoes in the trunk of that. Then we filled the car in the back seat completely with toys and food. And he called Charlie Weber and says, come and fill this car full of gas and pick us up after we get rid of the car. And Charlie Weber came, and we went to this guy's house, and Dad said, go get the guy's dad out here. I want to talk to him. And the guy's dad said, did my boys do anything wrong? I said, no, sir, my dad just wants to talk to you. My dad said, my boy Bob and Tom were thinking that your sons weren't going to have the best Christmas, and he wanted to make sure we changed that. So we got this car full of toys and food. Mm-hmm. Don't forget the 100-pound baggage, potatoes in the trunk. And he says, I want you to have a very Merry Christmas. Here, by the way, here's the title for the car, and here's an envelope with a $50 bill in it.
I think you made their Christmas.
He made their Christmas, and that was the kind of guy my dad was. Yeah. He didn't know what he was going to do, but you knew one thing, he was going to do the right thing.
Very good. Very interesting. Yep. Well, good. Well, thank you very much, Bob. Appreciate it. And thanks to our viewers. We'll see you next time on Out of the Past and at the Pioneer Museum.
Good day. Welcome to the series on Veterans Strengthening America. We will highlight American Legion Post 36. I'm your host, Steve Fosness. I am the current commander of American Legion Post 36 in Fairmont. I've been a member for 47 years. My background is I served from 1972 to 1976 during the Vietnam era with the U.S. Army, 4th Infantry Division, 19th MP Battalion, and I also served with SRM Safeguard Command. What we're going to highlight is the background of the American Legion. Most people think it's a normal place where the veterans go, have a beer, tell war stories. They've earned that honor. It's more than a place to go and have a beer. The American Legion was formed on March 15th, 1919 in Paris, France, and was chartered by the United States Congress in 1919 as a patriotic veteran organization focusing on service to veterans, service members, and communities. The Legion evolved from a group of war-weary veterans of World War I into one of the most influential nonprofit groups in the United States. U.S. Congress establishes membership as anybody honorably discharged that is a military member. This was previously limited to 7 major conflicts. Members with at least 1 day of active duty since 12/7/1941 are now eligible for membership. Today, there are 23 million U.S. veterans in 6 branches of the military, to include the U.S. Army, U.S. Navy, U.S. Marine Corps, U.S. Coast Guard, U.S. Air Force, and most recently, within the last 2 years, the U.S. Space Force. Today, membership in the American Legion is at 2 million, with more than 13,000 posts worldwide. We have 55 departments within the Legion, which is 1 for each state, plus District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, France, Mexico, and the Philippines. The preamble to the American Legion tells what we stand for. The preamble is for God and country. We associate ourselves together for the following purposes: to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, to maintain law and order, to foster and perpetuate a 100% Americanism, to preserve the memories and incidents of our associations in all wars, to inculcate a sense of individual obligation to the community, state, and nation, to combat the autocracy of both the classes and the masses, to make right the master of might, to promote peace and goodwill on earth, to safeguard and transmit to posterity the principles of justice, freedom, and democracy, to consecrate and sanctify our comradeship by our devotion to mutual helpfulness. The American Legion is the largest military veteran organization and advocate in the world. We started lobbying right away after it was formed. Some of the things that we lobbied for: 1921, we helped create the Veterans Administration. 1923, we established the Flag Code. 1925, we established the Legion Baseball. Today there's 82,000 youth in the United States in American Legion Baseball. Minnesota has the most teams in the nation. 1944, we established the GI Bill of Rights with Congress to facilitate better jobs, college training for veterans, and home purchases. In 1946, a $50,000 grant was given to start the American Heart Association. In 1950, funds were given to start the National Association of Mental Health. Several laws governing veterans' health, like Agent Orange and veteran children and family support groups and emergency funds, were started by the American Legion. Post 36 was named Lee C. Prentice American Legion Post 36. Lee C. Prentice was the first Fairmont resident killed in action in World War I. American Legion Lee C. Prentice Post 36 received its charter October 1st, 1920. It's located in the Department of Minnesota, 2nd District. The 2nd District is southwest Minnesota, encompassing 13 counties, 80 posts, and over 6,500 Legionnaires. Post 36 is comprised of 265 members currently, and just moved into our new post home located at 300 Downtown Plaza. This is not a bar or restaurant, but a veteran resource center used for meetings, training, virtual medical visits, which became very apparent in the last couple of years with COVID-19. Several senior veterans do not have access to a computer or access to internet. So we've opened up the post that they can come in, set up a virtual visit with any of the VAs in Sioux Falls, Minneapolis, or Des Moines. And we also have social gatherings and community functions. We're set up on a quarterly basis now with the Red Cross for Red Cross blood drives. The American Legion stands for 4 pillars: Americanism, children and youth, national security, and Veterans Affairs and Rehab. Americanism embodies its devotion to law and order, raising of wholesome youth, and educated in law-abiding citizenship, and respectful observance of patriotic holidays and remembrances. Children and youth, strengthening family units with quality organizations that provide youth services, provide communities with well-rounded programs, family support network. These include temporary financial assistance, Boys State, Legion Baseball, Boy Scouts, shooting sports, youth camps, and summer activities. The national security. They passed national resolutions ensuring a well-funded, well-equipped, and well-trained military, focusing awareness on rogue nations, terror groups, and global threats. We also support the Department of Homeland Security and Border Protection, enabling support for military families and troops, and provide efficient healing and care for the wounded. Veterans Affairs and Rehab. We lobby for adequate funding for the Veteran Health Administration, access to health care, disability claims, veteran benefits, accredited veteran service officers, national cemeteries. The Legion has tens of thousands of volunteers currently that work through VA facilities, which saves about $20 million per year to the federal government.
The American Legion was founded in 1919 on 4 principles: Veteran Affairs and Rehabilitation, National Security, Americanism, Children and Youth. American Legion Lee C. Prentice Post 36 of Fairmont was also chartered in 1919 and continues to be an integral contributor to the city of Fairmont and surrounding communities. American Legion Post 36 members and auxiliary members volunteer in honor guard for deceased veterans, parades, Memorial Day and Veteran Day tributes, Boy and Girl County, Boy and Girl State Government demonstration programs. In the past 3 years, American Legion Post 36 has contributed over $340,000 towards various endeavors, such as Veteran Affairs and Rehab, Martin County Veterans Memorial, Veterans in Need, National Security and Americanism, Heaven's Table, Shepherd's Inn, Legion Baseball, Boy and Girl Scout programs, scholarships, local schools in the arts, academic and athletic programs, kinship, and local church youth programs. Everyone's freedom must be appreciated and celebrated. It is not to be taken for granted. Our freedom is a right of every American and a privilege to have. Honoring our veterans and supporting our troops is a priority. Children and youth programs, needy veteran and community assistance programs, and many other worthy programs must be supported. In 2018, American Legion Post 36 was the recipient of a significant charitable trust. The trust will enable Post 36 to continue its contributions to the city of Fairmont and surrounding communities for years to come. To do so in the future, it is essential for Post 36 to maintain a solid membership of eligible veterans. Current eligibility requirements to become a member of the American Legion is to be honorably discharged from any branch of the Armed Forces of the United States of America with service dates between December 7, 1941 to present and includes current war campaigns. Veterans interested in becoming a member of American Legion Post 36 and Auxiliary of Fairmont, contact us via the information below.
This gives you a little overview on what the American Legion is and what the series will be on, Veterans Strengthening America, with future episodes to show the community involvement of the American Legion and the training of the Veteran Service Officer and several other guests. Thank you.
Martin County on TV, a second look.
Well, Steve, welcome to Our Story Studios.
Hi.
Nice to see you. I've known you for some time and had you do a little bit of work for us. Share with the folks what you do and who you are.
Well, I'm Steve Petrowiak, born and raised in Fairmont. Moved out of town for a couple years, lived in Mankato for a couple years, working for Arm and Glass up there. Had 3 kids. One's out in Idaho, the other another one's out by Sioux Falls, and one's around town here. So
you got a couple places to go and visit some kids out of town. Yeah,
exactly.
so
just had our
very
first
cool.
grandchild here a few months ago. So
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Very, very cool.
So it's
now, your business is?
American Glass
And located at?
at Blue Earth Avenue in Fairmont.
Okay, awesome. Tell us a little bit about that and how it all started.
I used to work for Harman Glass years ago and got to the point where they're pulling benefits, stuff like that. So I figured it was time to
Sure.
move on and move back to the area and just start my own. And of course, at the beginning, it was real rough, but I'm glad I stuck it out because it's been very good.
And what year did you start?
The summer of '91.
Oh my goodness, so you've been at it a while.
Quite a while, so almost 30 years on my own.
So for some of us, that went by quick.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right. So now, as far as the services that you offer, what kind of work do you offer as far as beyond windshields, or can they bring things in? And
Most things I do is automotive glass, side glass, back glass, windshields. I do some tractors, house windows. A lot of times if they can bring it in, that would be a lot better. I'm kind of limited as far as some of the house windows I can do, so I figure, well, there's another place in town that can take care of that, otherwise I'll do it. So.
now, and after using your services in the past myself, are there some repair options or mostly replacement?
It seems like repairs, I kind of go in streaks. If I'm going to have one, I'm going to have a bunch. And yeah, if it's repairable, we should get it taken care of, before it takes off. I mean, why disturb the adhesive that's already there? A lot of them, people think that, you do a repair and it's going to be as if nothing happened. It says, no, that's not quite right. It's just to keep it from growing. And so right in the line of vision,
Sure.
it doesn't really work all that well. But
So now, when you say repair, what type of thing could they expect?
the simplest way to describe that is injecting a glue, just gluing it all back together. It's a polymer resin, so when it's all cured up, it's plastic is what's getting injected in there,
Okay.
and it gets hardened up with ultraviolet light and just glues it back together. It probably makes it 95% better than what it was, depending on the chip. There's some where it's really crunched up and it has a milky look to it.
Is that a preferable option to replacement for insurance purposes?
Insurance companies love it because it's a lot cheaper. A lot of them will even waive the deductible to get a chip repair done.
Do you find some people come too late for that kind of a project?
The sooner you can get in, the better. Some of them, they'll wait a few days or a week, and by that time some of them, I shouldn't say a lot, take off. And I've had some where it's been there a couple of years and not an issue.
I've had a couple that say I should go in, and then all of a sudden I don't, and it runs across the windshield and things. Now, you mentioned most everything's in your location, but do you go out to locations too?
Yeah, I do have a road service, so I mean, if I can go and do it, depending on the job, for the most part, I can do anything out on the road. It's just I'm kind of limited if the pinch weld is rusty or whatever. It's better if it was in the shop so I can clean it up the proper way.
Preferable to bring it in.
Right. So, but I can go out and do the job out on the road, or I can even, if it's real close, I can pick it up, bring it to the shop, deliver it. So,
wonderful. Do you, as far as if somebody hasn't used your services before, give you a call, stop in? What's the best way to contact you and let you know?
You can give us a call. We can look up to see what options your vehicle has. Some of them, there's quite a few options, so it's good to bring it in or even have the VIN ready so I can always call the manufacturer and get a build sheet on it to see which one it takes and go from there. But at least if they bring it in, then I can look at it. Some of them are very straightforward to where you don't even need to bring it in. There's only a couple options where it's easy to figure out.
How about as far as insurance? Do you work with insurance companies, or do they? The
majority of the jobs I do is through insurance. We deal with a lot of them, but even if we call the insurance company, they're going to call and verify with them anyways. So it's almost better really for them to initiate the contact with the insurance company so that way they know what's going on.
So let's say I come in and want some work done. Are we just kind of at the mercy of the what the insurance company agrees to, or how does that work?
Oh no, actually the customer has the choice of where to go. The insurance company cannot tell them. It is illegal in Minnesota. I mean, I've had some customers come in and says, well, they told me I'm supposed to go here. And it says, no, that's not true. A lot of the 800 numbers that you call that's on your card, you're not talking to your insurance. You're talking to the network.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the insurance company has no idea what's going on. It's that network, and there's one network in particular, they have their own shops. So they tried, so they say that we have the right to choose, but I noticed that all the time they have one of their shops in the choice, and they leave others out when it's
so as a customer, you can stay local. Mm-hmm. We can take care of local businesses and get it proper done by a professional locally. Right. And it's our choice as the insured.
Yep. And I feel, by doing it locally, why support a shop or another town where a shop comes out of? Because you're paying.
Oh, absolutely.
The money's going there. You're helping them out. You're not helping the community out where, I try to buy local as much as I can.
Sure.
A lot of times these networks, they tell us what we charge. So it doesn't matter if I'm doing it or if somebody comes in and do it, it's going to be the same charge. So why not keep it local?
Absolutely. Steve, tell me biggest change or some of the changes in your industry in the last 30 years you've been doing this.
Oh boy. Well, other than the urethanes, for the most part, because back, when I started, there's probably more gasket style where there was no urethane, or they have the butyl tape and like the backfill, like I was saying. But
tell urethane. What is urethane?
That is the glue that holds the windshield in.
Oh, very important.
Yes, and there's some jobs where they don't use primers and there are some primerless urethanes, but I've had some where they said it leaks, so I go in there and I could push the windshield out because the urethane was letting go because the primer wasn't put on.
Henceforth, I'm sure one reason to work with your business rather than have old friend Jimmy do it in his backyard, correct?
Yeah, because a lot of them will come in, or some comes in, I need to buy some urethane. So, well, no, you got to have primer. But if they don't know what they're doing, it's not going to really matter.
Absolutely. So tell me, Steve, you have a website, Facebook page?
Yep, got a website and Facebook. So.
And what can a customer look to find there besides basic contact information?
Yeah, basically, just it explains a little bit about us, the services we do. So
Awesome. Very good.
Pretty straightforward.
Well, this has been very informative. Thank you for serving our community for almost 30 years. And I think, you're a young guy. You could run this to 50.
Well,
let's go
my
for
body's
40.
feeling it already.
Let's go for 40.
Yeah, well,
Thanks
work on one at a time. Here.
Thanks for coming on, Steve.
You bet.
Martin County on TV, a second look.
Well, there you have it, another episode of Martin County on TV. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we welcome you to tune in again. Thank our sponsors for making this happen, and remember, it's not just the past, but the present that tells our story.